Looking for these better days.
It is Monday, November 10th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. Week 10 of the NFL season will conclude tonight with a playoff rematch and potential playoff preview. The Green Bay Packers hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Mackenzie Rivers joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel, as we recap all the NFL Sunday Week 10 action with our biggest takeaways. And then we will, of course, look at tonight's Monday Night Football game, build a same-game parlay as well. But Mackenzie, let's take a look at what happened yesterday in the NFL. What was the biggest thing that jumped out to you? I will start by saying the carnage that took place in the Circa Survivor and Circa Grandissimo contests was fascinating as the Carolina Panthers lose. The Saints win 17-7. The Panthers now have lost 11 straight games as a favorite, the longest straight-up losing streak as a favorite for any team since the 1970 merger. This team just can't have nice things.
Well, they didn't. Were they a pick'em against the Jets? I remember people were given that stat when they ended up beating the Jets, but maybe that ended up being a pick'em on the road. So yeah, half the Survivor entrants are out. The Panthers were the number one selected team. The Bills were fourth. The Browns were up. I guess had a few picks. But yeah, 1,700 entered. 900 were removed. I am actually one of the happy people that was on Thursday. We were on the Broncos, as mentioned on this show. So check out the Dan and Mac and Survivor podcast, where we are still alive.
That is fantastic. I mean, the implied value of your entry is just tremendous right now with all the carnage that took place. So it definitely was a wild Sunday. Not just the Saints beating the Panthers, but also the Dolphins beating the Bills 30-13. This was just the Bills. To me, it's a team where, Mackenzie, we talk about them, Super Bowl favorites coming into the season, the easy
Super Bowl favorites as of yesterday.
Exactly, literally, like Super Bowl favorites throughout the season, the easy schedule, Josh Allen, MVP favorite. This team now with 3 losses on the year, the one to the Patriots, obviously that one holds up because the Patriots keep winning, and their Patriots are a favorite to win the division now. But the loss to the Falcons and the loss to the Dolphins here, just 2 inexplicable losses. This one worse off, and I'm not going to sit here and ever question knowing an NFL coach, right? I mean, well, let me rephrase that.
Yeah, I think you have, and you will.
I question NFL coaches all the time. I'm never going to claim that I know more than an NFL coach, okay? Because if I did, Mackenzie, I'd be an NFL coach. All right, so anybody sitting here trying to play Monday morning quarterback, armchair quarterback, whatever, you don't know more than an NFL coach. We like to think we do, but we don't. But the reality is we have information. NFL teams have more information. I question sometimes what I'm watching on the screen because I am baffled at decisions that I think are just clearly not in the best interest of a football team. Now, I get it. There's no such play. Actually, a former NFL coach actually said this to me one time when I was talking about, I was complaining about plays. And he literally said, no play is ever designed to fail. It's like, that's a fact. That's literally a fact. The coaches don't ever call a play that says, I want to lose 2 yards here. No.
I get so mad at people because people are like, why wouldn't you just pick a first down? Why would you run into the line 3 times in a row? The design of the play was to get a first down. That was everyone's plan.
Yes. So no play is designed to fail. Every play is designed to work. It's just, does your offense block the defense and get push, or does the defense shed the blocks and get push, or is there a missed assignment somewhere? It's if you out execute the other team, you're going to be successful, whether that's on offense or on defense, right? So Let me just preface what I'm about to say by throwing that out there. I acknowledge that. But when you look at a Miami Dolphins team that is one of the worst run defenses in the entire NFL, for James Cook to touch the football only 7 times in the first half, I think is bad coaching. Whether that's on Joe Brady, whether that's on Sean McDermott, whether that's just on this lost idea that just because we're down 16-0, we have to abandon the run. No, it's a 2-possession game. You can get back in the game. I just think I always again, I'm just gonna just keep throwing more cliches out there, but they say you always play to the back of your baseball card, right? You're always gonna play to what your stats are. Like the Dolphins, if you just keep pounding the rock against them, the levees will break, the water will flow. I didn't understand not just giving the ball to James Cook over and over and over again and seeing if you eventually have success. And when Josh Allen threw that red zone interception, they had first and goal or second and goal at like the 8-yard line, I think it was, or the 7-yard line. James Cook was not on the field for second down, nor was he on the field for third down when Josh Allen threw the interception. You have one of the worst run defenses in the entire NFL. I would have just ran James Cook 3 times or 4 times up the middle. The odds are, McKenzie, he might have got close to a touchdown, if not get into the end zone. So that was one aspect of watching that Bills game that really bothered me.
You look at the Bills, they have one of the easiest schedules. I think the Patriots are right there so far in the NFL, but they have wins against the Chiefs and the Ravens. And I wonder if they thought, all right, well, now we can take a breath. We know that we're better than a team like the Dolphins. You're right. They've been the most successful teams in terms of EPA per game. People always talk about EPA per play, but per game is pretty telling because it shows you if you're able to lean on a defensive line like they've been doing. They have a great offensive line to do it. I wonder if James Cook being banged up all week, being questionable, if they kind of just thought we can get out of Dodge without having to put all those miles on him. And now they are plus 200 to win the AFC East. If they were planning ahead, it was not the time to do it.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe they just they underestimated the Miami Dolphins and felt, Josh Allen will pick them apart and James Cook will run a little bit, but they're not going to pose a threat to us. When in reality, They did pose a big threat. And yes, Devon Achane ran for 174 yards. Did get the bulk of that later in the game though, so it wasn't like it was a complete domination. He had a 60-yard run at one point there in the fourth quarter. So, but it was just a big game for the Miami Dolphins. Like 3-7 now on the year. Tua 15 of 21, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and it's not
Check
like
this
when
out.
Yeah,
Mike McDaniel, I think he saved his job at least for another 6 months. He's 1 or 2-7 straight up against the Bills, but he's 6-3 ATS. It's like they're always huge underdogs, but he tends to do a little bit better than you might expect.
I was going to say, if you look at like the stats as a whole, like this wasn't a game where it looks like the Bills got dominated in the box score, but they really did. Like they out-yarded the Dolphins actually, 376 to 370s. First downs were even, 20-19. The turnovers, I mean, the Bills had 3, the Dolphins had 2. Like if you just analyze the box score, yes, the yards per play were much better for the Miami Dolphins, but it was really the inefficiencies and the inability to capitalize in certain situations and the timely turnover in the end zone that did the Bills in that game yesterday. So you mentioned that they are dogs now in the AFC East. The Patriots are the favorite to win that division. New England goes into Tampa, beats the Bucs 28-23. What did you make of the end of the first half? The way that Mike Vrabel played that series at the end of the first half, where he didn't he told the guys not to score. And so they wanted to hold the ball to make sure that they had the final possession of the first half and not score and give the Bucs an opportunity to score before the first half.
I mean, a Madden player at heart, Mike Vrabel is really a real one for this because I've made this point and I've tried to mathematically make it. I'm not sure if it's there, but I have my chalkboard and my Charlie disguise on, looking for Pepe Sylvia, that says this: a minute to go in the first half, you have the ball. Would you rather score a touchdown in 1 second and give the other team 59 seconds to respond, or would you rather kick a field goal with 0 seconds left? Trick question. You score a touchdown with 0 seconds left. Best of all possible worlds. Because in the modern NFL, you have the ball with 59 seconds left. The opponent's going to score a field goal. They're going to nullify your points. So he went galaxy brain, and it worked out for him in the final second of the half.
So he denied it after the game. I mean, he didn't deny it. He just didn't say anything after the game, and neither did Drake May. But if you watch that play, you're like, did Drake May just take a kneel down? Like he just like fell
Brilliant.
forward. Yeah, he fell forward and took a knee. It definitely was a brilliant play, and the Patriots milked the clock with the Bucks having no timeouts left. And then on 4th and goal, at the 1 yard line, he took a gamble. After the game, Vrabel just said, "quote," when he asked, "Did you tell him not to score?" He said, we're just really excited to end the half with the ball in our hands. Yeah, dude. Like, obviously, like we knew what you were doing, and it was genius, bro. Absolutely genius. And one of the reasons why Patriots at 8-2 on the season have to be considered a threat here, Mackenzie, in the AFC. I know it started out as just a cute story,
Right.
but like this team is playing some like really really sound football. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's sound football at this point.
Looking at the AFC favorites, Chiefs are the favorite. They're not favored to win their division, but they're the favorite to win their conference at 3-1. Colts at plus 425. I'm not a believer. Bills at 5-1. I'm not a believer. Ravens are going to have a tough time winning their division. And then it's the Patriots. This is a fun year. I think all these teams are viable. Broncos right behind the Patriots. Chargers not too far behind them. I think there's a big group of teams that could compete.
I mean, if the season ended today, which is, not going to happen, obviously, but if the season ended today, like the Kansas City Chiefs don't make the playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens don't make the playoffs.
How are they going to win the AFC if they're not in the playoffs? Someone's got to call Goodell on that one.
Like, literally, if the season ended today, the Chiefs and the Ravens are not in the playoffs. But when it's all said and done, we believe that the Chiefs and Ravens will be in the playoffs.
What's really interesting is knock 2 current playoff teams out because we do think the Chiefs and Ravens are going to supplant them.
It's easy.
Jaguars are gone. And who? Steelers?
Jaguars are gone. And the
Steelers?
and the Steelers are gone.
Chargers? Yeah, it's got to be the Steelers because of a Sunday Night Football win.
It's the Jaguars and Steelers that are gone. The Ravens are going to win the division. The AFC North is a one-bid league. And then the Chiefs get in over the Jaguars, and the
Steelers,
AFC South
9-8, but don't make the playoffs. Tomlin can retire and never have a losing record.
Yeah,
but they won't make the playoffs.
But they won't make the playoffs. That's what's going to happen. Is there a world in which the Bills don't make the playoffs?
Not with that schedule. They got a couple of easy ones coming up.
Okay, all right. Just thinking out loud here. Just thinking out loud. All right, let's talk about some other results here from Week 10 Sunday. The action got started bright and early in Berlin, Germany. The Colts with a 31-25 overtime win over the Falcons. Jonathan Taylor, trench report victory, 244 yards and 3 touchdowns, including the overtime game winner. And
was
Falcons,
that an over? That crept over?
And yeah, you think so? And the Falcons cover the 6.5 though, Mackenzie, because the Colts scored on the second possession of overtime, meaning no extra point needed. Had the Colts scored on the first possession of overtime, you kick the extra point, and then the Falcons get the football after that. But the Falcons punted on their overtime possession. Colts scored the touchdown, so they win by 6. Falcons cover the 6.5 point spread. So big time trench report game for Jonathan Taylor, 244 yards and the 3 touchdowns. I said
he's now
this
the
on
third favorite to win MVP, JT.
This is where I was going. So I said this on VSiN last night. Jonathan Taylor's not going to win the MVP.
No.
He's a lock to win the offensive player of the year. Like, that's for sure going to happen. And what is his odds? He's got to be like minus 1,000
minus 400 at FanDuel.
Oh, I was going to say minus 1,000.
I think I might grab some minus 400. That's honestly, Jackson Smith and Jigba's next. I don't see him winning.
And actually up on FanDuel right now, offensive player of the year, Jonathan Taylor minus 350.
Okay.
So that's the updated odds.
Nice price there.
That's what I would do. But Jonathan Taylor at plus 500 to win the MVP, third behind Drake May and Matthew Stafford. Jonathan Taylor's going to win the offensive player of the year. Matthew Stafford's the MVP right now. I mean, that's just end of discussion. We know it's a quarterback award first off, the MVP market, right? Yep. But I also think, and this is where, sometimes we say, and we have to acknowledge, and this is the truth, whether you want to believe it or not, voters are swayed by what happened the season before, or maybe just in the past. Tell me if you agree with this, Mackenzie, because I think you've seen it like in the NBA with the MVP voting and things like that. The fact that Saquon Barkley did not win the MVP last year is going to be the reason why Jonathan Taylor doesn't win the MVP this year. Because even though he's having a tremendous season, even though he's got 15 rushing touchdowns, the first running back to get to 1,000 yards this year, Saquon Barkley had the greatest running back season we've ever seen last year, and he did not win the MVP. And for Jonathan Taylor, for any running back to be in consideration, they'd have to so far eclipse what Saquon Barkley did last year, break the rushing record, right? Have the historic season to even be considered, because there's going to be several voters out there that are just going to say, look, we created the Offensive Player of the Year award for a reason. That's what he's getting. The MVP is a quarterback award. And I'm sorry, but I tried to vote for Saquon last year, and you all told me I was stupid. So I'm not voting for Jonathan Taylor this year. I think that's going to be ultimately why he doesn't win the award.
The name of the award and the influx of gambling, I think, makes it where a running back will never win the award again, because we all have, every bookmaker has the list of players that this is how much I'm going to move the line if they get COVID or if they're suddenly out. And if Jonathan Taylor is not in the game, it's a huge move. It's maybe a 2-point move. It's maybe as much as Daniel Jones, a 2-point move. But it's not Josh Allen not being there. It's not Patrick Mahomes not being there. It's not Drake May not being there.
And Matthew Stafford, throw him in there too.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford probably a good choice for MVP. Here's the thing about Matthew Stafford versus Drake May, because I do think it comes down to a quarterback. Drake May has a far easier schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So does that hurt him or does that help him? If Stafford wins the rest of their games, he's going to be the MVP. But he has 2 games against the Seahawks. Drake May has 2 games against the Jets. It's going to be a lot easier for Drake May to be pristine.
Yeah, but it's also going to be.
Stafford has the more difficult course ahead of him.
Yeah, but it's also going to be more impressive when Stafford and the Rams win those games. It could be, and he puts up those numbers, because some of those games are going to be in prime time and nationally televised, whether it's a Sunday night football game or it's a like the Tampa Bay game coming up in 2 weeks. That's a Sunday night football game. There might be a game that gets flexed to a Sunday night game. The Thursday, he's going to have a Thursday night game against the Seahawks. That's a primetime game.
He's made 1 Pro Bowl in his whole life. He kind of deserves. I think he has 1 or 2 Pro Bowls.
Stop it.
It doesn't, because he's been in the NFC. Let me look it up right now instead of talking. He has a 2-time Pro Bowler, 2014 and 2023. He kind of deserves an MVP just to put a stamp on a great career. He's been way better than the numbers have been given to him.
This is the thing.
They are.
Yeah, the Rams.
Him and Snoop Huntley are going to be sitting in Canton together.
Yeah. Rams are at 7-2. They blew out the 49ers yesterday. They are, them and the Seahawks are the 2 best teams that nobody's talking about in terms of winning the Super Bowl. I think the world of this Rams team right now, and I do think that Stafford is the MVP. Now, that being said, Mac, there is a play on the board that I think is very valuable.
You can't get 60-1 for my Sam Darnold pick anymore.
No. Matthew Stafford, by the way, what does he have? 25 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. It's just a ridiculous season. Which is
4 touchdowns, 0 picks every game. It seems
it's every game. That's what he had yesterday, right? It's what he gets every game. Okay, the value on the board is Jalen Hurts at 20-1.
Who?
Exactly. Now let me explain. Jalen Hurts, like Matthew Stafford, doesn't turn the football over. 15 passing touchdowns to 1 interception so far this season. He doesn't come close to the yardage, right? But he still has to play here on Monday Night Football, so we'll have an opportunity to catch up. But let's take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Okay. We have the big game tonight, Monday Night Football. We're going to get to that. We're going to build the same game parlay for this game between the Eagles and the Packers. Eagles are at 6-2. They win this game, they will leapfrog the Packers as the 2 seed right now. Next week, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles play against the Lions on Sunday Night Football. You have a big performance in that game. Now, all of a sudden, 2 big wins in both primetime standalone spots, Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football, in consecutive weeks. In 3 weeks from now, when Jalen Hurts plays the Dallas Cowboys on America's Game of the Week on Fox on a Sunday afternoon, his 20-1 could be plus 500. And then if he puts up a monstrous number against the Cowboys and the Eagles are now 9-2 going into a Thursday game, a Thanksgiving game against the Bears. Again, nationally televised standalone game where he has a big performance. The Eagles improved to 10-2, and then the next week he has a Monday night football game against the Chargers, an opportunity to put up a big number and get a big win and improve to 11-2. You see what I'm getting at here, Mackenzie? Jalen Hurts is going to be in the national spotlight for the next 5 games. If he puts up numbers in the next 5 games and they're all Eagles wins and they improve to 11-2, you're telling me he's not going to be the MVP favorite? Because the national media is going to be swayed by the primetime standalone nationally televised games. And yes, I know that Cowboys one's not one of it, but it's the Fox, it's the Tom Brady game in the afternoon, right? So you 5 marquee nationally televised games here for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in a row. This is the opportunity for him to raise his stock 20-1 on Jalen Hurts now. That's the value play.
But he's just not as good as Matthew Stafford. Like, I hear you make the strong case for how he could be the MVP. He has the opportunity, but he hasn't been that good this year. He hasn't been that good last year. I think he's a top 10 player and not a top 3 quarterback. So I don't think people are going to vote for him. I rather have Stafford at 3-1, but that's why you take a long shot at 20-1.
It's just at 20-1 right now up on FanDuel. Is he 15 touchdowns to only 1 interception? He's having a good season.
It does have a ring to it. 15-1.
Yeah, he's having a good season and throwing the rushing touchdowns as well. It's not as much as it's been in the past, but I don't know. I think the Eagles could just.
Well, it sounds like we have a disagreement on the Monday Night Football game coming up.
No, so because I actually like the Green Bay Packers, but we'll get to that.
I do too. All right, I guess you're hedging your bets a little bit.
We'll get to that in just a moment. Other results from yesterday: Lions in the smash spot blew out the Commanders 44-22. Now 13 consecutive wins straight up in ATS for Jared Goff and Dan Campbell after a loss. Just incredible
the big news. The first-time play caller, Dan Campbell, took the headset, and that's why he doesn't lose after a loss, because he will not allow his team to lose after a loss.
I do think that there's something we can take from this result, though, because Dan Campbell took over the play calling responsibilities. Look what happened. Jahmyr Gibbs was the focal point of the offense, right? And Jameson Williams had by far his biggest target share of the season, 7 targets, 6 receptions for 119 yards and 1 touchdown. So last week, John Morton came out and said, we need to get Jameson Williams more involved in the offense. Like he's such a great player. He's a weapon, and we're not using him enough. And in the game last week, he did go over his receptions prop. He had 6 for 66 and a touchdown, but the touchdown, it was a 37-yarder, so like he did go over like in the fourth quarter. I wonder, and now we see his usage, this is his best game by far of the season, right? So I wonder if last week John Morton was speaking the words that Dan Campbell was preaching to him, saying, hey, why are we not utilizing one of our more talented players? I see mismatches every week. Like, we need to get him more involved. And so John Morton tells that to the media. And then this week, Dan Campbell takes over the play calling responsibilities, and Jameson Williams is a main featured player. Like, it just feels like the two are connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you want to get something done, you got to do it yourself. I'm sure they had been talking for a month about how Jameson Williams could do more. Well, now he's doing more.
Yeah, so I would be looking at Jameson Williams props moving forward here for the Detroit Lions. Seahawks blew out the Cardinals 44-22. 2 defensive scores there for the Seahawks. Just incredible stuff there. Texans 36-29 comeback win over the Jaguars. Absolutely embarrassing loss for Jacksonville. It was it was 29-10 at one point.
30 other one franchises would have their most embarrassing day on Monday. I don't even know if the Jaguars will notice. They're just the Jaguars. They just continue to Jaguar.
26 points in the fourth quarter for the Texans. The last 6, the ones that counted the most. Texans
if you had Jaguars plus 4.5 for some reason because you were betting some alternate, wow, what a loss.
But right now, the Texans closed at about a 1-point favorite, so they were winning 30-29. So they were winning by 1, and then they wound up covering on the fumble recovery for a touchdown on the final play of the game. And it wasn't widely publicized because it's not like it wasn't like they were 2.5-point favorites or 3-point favorites, and they covered.
Right.
Like they were already at a push or even at a win because it was at a pick 'em at some points. They were dogs for most of the week, and then they closed at -1. So, I mean, they were covering pretty much the whole way there. But, yeah, fluky play at the end. The Jets...
It kind of overshadows the fact that they also just came back from 20 points down in the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Like, even without that play.
With Davis freaking Mills at quarterback.
He can see over the offensive line so well.
With that
He
big
has an
neck.
advantage. Yeah. Just cranes over. What's going on over here?
Yeah. The Jets beat the Browns 27-20 yesterday, Mackenzie, in one of the weirdest stat games you will ever see. The Jets ran 47 plays to the 70 plays that was run by the Cleveland Browns. The Jets had absolutely no offense until the fourth quarter, but they had 2 special teams touchdowns in the first quarter, a kickoff return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown as they get the win. Justin Fields just 6 of 11 passing for 54 yards. Breece Hall with a big 30-yard run. He had 21 carries for 83 yards. He also had a 42-yard catch and run for a touchdown. So a big Breece Hall game. Garrett Wilson, 0 catches on the game. And the Jets get a victory after everyone wrote them off after the trade deadline. Aaron Glenn's laughing in everyone's faces.
Well, they had 2 return touchdowns, which helps. But I think it's not irrelevant that they had 2 return touchdowns because they had a good vibe about them. I thought the defense was looked alive, even though they were less talented. Everyone that was there wanted to be there, and it kind of felt that way. Here's the best Justin Fields stat of all time, I think. He had 54 yards passing, right? But he lost 12 of those to sack yards. So the team had 42 yards of net passing. In the fourth quarter, Breece Hall had his 1 catch on his 1 target, 42-yard touchdown. So they had that play, and they had 0 yards net passing outside of that play, just enough to win by 7.
That's ridiculous. Oh, my goodness. The Bears beat the Giants 24-20, also in come-from-behind fashion. Big trench report game here. DeAndre Swift goes over his rushing yardage prop. Kyle Monangai scores a touchdown. Jackson Dart leaves the game with a concussion, and now we have to play the waiting game for the concussion protocol to see if he'll be back for the Giants for their next game. If not, it will be a Russell Wilson game. Because it's very rare that a quarterback, only Brock Purdy, the superhuman Brock Purdy, comes back the same week after getting a concussion. The guy's been out an entire year with a toe injury, but you mess up with his you mess with his brain, and he comes back in 5 days. But that's besides the point. I would expect to see Russell Wilson at quarterback for the Giants coming up next week.
As a historian of the NFL, I hope Russell Wilson gets his 1 or 2 more career wins to get in the top 10 all time.
There you have it. Ravens beat the Vikings 27-19, a game that featured a whole lot of purple on the field. I mean, every time they showed a highlight on the Red Zone channel and they cut to that game, I was just like, I wanted to put sunglasses on. There was just so much purple on the field there. But this is a Ravens team that is now 4-5. We talk about it. They're going to win this division. They are healthy. Their injury report was clean yesterday. This is just a dangerous team. This is a very dangerous team moving forward. And even though they're winning these games, Mackenzie, we still haven't seen them look like the best version of the Baltimore Ravens. Like Lamar Jackson hasn't put together, since he's come back to the lineup,
Right.
He hasn't put together like, oh my goodness. Like, I guess, yeah, he had the 4 touchdowns against Miami, but like we haven't seen, Lamar with the, 95 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. We haven't seen MVP Lamar, let's say.
Not at all. And he's like 2nd or 3rd. He's 3rd in QBR right now. But a lot of it is just those 4 touchdown games against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
He hasn't had more than 50 yards rushing since week 1 against the Bills. I'm not sure if he's right. I'm not sure if he's biding his time, but that's going to be a dangerous team if he does get right.
Maybe it is biding his time. Maybe that's exactly what it is. They're waiting and seeing. I think we talked about every single game. Chargers beat the Steelers on Sunday Night Football 25-10. So that one bucked the trench report. Speaking of the trench report, as we go over the results,
Herbert was sacked 5 times. So
yes.
maybe if you would have focused in on that bad pass blocking, it would have worked out for you.
You see, that's the thing. Like when you look at the trench report, it does identify a lot of aspects of these games that certainly play out. So, like, yes, like the Steelers were an underdog and they were classified as having a mismatch in the trenches, and it had to do with the pass rush. And I thought the Chargers did a good job of sticking to the run to kind of neutralize the Steelers' pass rush. But overall, Trench Report goes 3-2 as the Buffalo Bills lose and the Pittsburgh Steelers lose. The close matchups. The Colts and Falcons was lined as a close matchup. You don't get any closer than going to overtime.
Right.
The Jaguars and Texans was lined at a close matchup. That should have been a 1-point win, if not for a fumble returned in the final play of the game. So, and the Lions and Commanders was a close matchup that, I mean, forget about that one.
We didn't know Dan Campbell was calling the plays. That
Exactly.
changes the math.
And top running mismatches, the RB1s all went, it went let's see, Bears over Giants, DeAndre Swift went over, Colts over Falcons, Jonathan Taylor went over, Rams over Niners, Kyron Williams went over, Bills over Dolphins, James Cook did not go over,
Right.
and Panthers over Saints, Rico Dowdle did not go over. So 3-2 to the RB1s going over. However, Rico Dowdle scored a touchdown. Kyron Williams scored 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor scored 3 touchdowns, and Kyle Monungai scored a touchdown. So, and on VSiN this weekend, I did give out the Monungai touchdown because he had the higher plus money than DeAndre Swift. So DeAndre Swift had the higher rushing prop, right? Naturally so, because he's the starting running back. But last week, Monungai ran for 176 yards and did not score a touchdown. And so I
think
felt
Ben
that
Johnson's a just man.
I felt that this week they were going to, and also last week when Monungai didn't score a touchdown, it was because they took him out at the goal line and brought in another back. So I felt that in this game, it was going to be the opposite. Like DeAndre Swift would get him down there, and then they'd put Monungai in the goal line, and that's exactly what happened. And Monungai scored a touchdown. Also, Monungai's a Jersey kid, born and raised, went to Rutgers. I just wonder if playing against the Giants meant something to him. So maybe they wanted to get him a touchdown. It was a very good handicap on Monungai scoring a touchdown, and he did. So there you have it. There you have it. Let's get to this game tonight as we have Monday Night Football wrapping up Week 10 of the NFL season. It is the Green Bay Packers who are hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Currently, Mackenzie, up on FanDuel, as we're going to build a little same-game parlay up on FanDuel right now. The Packers, a 1.5-point favorite, total of 45.5. There's several books out there in the market that have Packers -1 right now for this game. So it seems like all the money is coming in on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I will give you the trend of all trends that applies to the Green Bay Packers here tonight. Are you ready, Mackenzie?
Yes. Let's go.
Trend
of all trends.
Yes, the trend of all trends. So, as we do with all our trends, we like to start with the 2021 season. Post-COVID, new world of the NFL, right? New schedule, just new sports world, all that stuff. Okay, so if you lose a game as a touchdown or greater favorite, and then you are favored again the next week, those teams, Mackenzie, with the Lions blowing out the Commanders yesterday, improved to 38-14 straight up, 34-19 against the spread. You lose as a touchdown or more favorite, and the next week you are once again listed as the favorite. That applies to the Green Bay Packers against the Philadelphia Eagles. It also applies to the Buffalo Bills next week against the Tampa Bay Bucks, so keep an eye on that game. But the Lions were a smash spot. They covered. Now the Packers are a smash spot. Will they cover?
I like the Packers here. And I already saw the Bills line is being pushed down, so money going against them. And I think the money going against the Packers here as well is short-sighted. And it seems like out of sight, out of mind. Why are we higher on the Eagles than we were 2 weeks ago? Because they didn't play. Because the Lions played and lost one of those games. The Packers lost last week. And I feel like they're getting credit for being the best team in the NFC just because we're looking at all the holes in the other teams in the NFC outside of the NFC West teams. On the year, Packers have the better stats than the Eagles. I know they're the Super Bowl champs. I know they get the benefit of the doubt. But if it was close, I would say, okay, Eagles get the benefit of the doubt. It's not close. The Packers are better offensively, better defensively, any way which you want to put it. They just happen to have a record that's not as good.
Yeah, I think it's a big Packers win here tonight. I like the Packers a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a decision, Mackenzie. It seems like you and I are both aligned. Leg one of our same game parlay here for Monday Night Football is going to be the Green Bay Packers -1.5 here on FanDuel. Are we in agreement? Okay.
Yes.
Leg number two. I would like to focus on Packers wide receiver Christian Watson. Last week came back from an injury and was supposed to be on a snap count and blew past that snap count. I know he was limited in practice this week, but the dude literally blew past the snap count last week, which goes to show me that either he has more sway over like the coaches or like they just know how important he is and they want him out on the field and damn the injury and they're just going to keep sending him out there. Either way, I think the opportunities are going to be there. This is an Eagles secondary that traded for Jair Alexander, former Packer, but he's not playing. So, and the reports were during the week that he was practicing and excited to maybe play against his former team in the Green Bay Packers, right? Like the Eagles were trying to figure out what their defensive lineup, the secondary was going to look like here in this game. And it was, Mitchell is one of the cornerbacks, right? Quinyon Mitchell. And then the other cornerback was going to be Jair Alexander. Like that's how they were lining up in practice. And now Jair Alexander's not going to play. So one cornerback is going to be Quinyon Mitchell. The other cornerback is going to be, I don't know, like how are they going to, what's his defense going to look like here in this game? So I think that the Packers, with their big playability, take advantage of the Eagles secondary. I think Christian Watson goes over his reception yardage prop here, 40.5 yards. Give me Watson over 40.5. Are you okay with adding that to the same game parlay?
Yeah, it's only his third game back, and he's gone over this number by a lot. So we expect his trend line, like his snap count, to go from 60% week one, 66% last week. I bet it's in the 75 percentile. Yeah, I think this number is low.
All right, so two-leg same-game parlay right now is at plus 219. We'd obviously love to have something negatively correlated in here.
By the way, on the positive correlation, though, I think one of the reasons why these favorites tend to win after losing as a favorite is because if they had to say, I don't know, Christian Watson's kind of iffy, well, we just lost as a big favorite. We're not going to mess around in this game. We're going to push Watson and everyone we can to try to get this victory after a shocking loss last week.
Yep. So, do you have any negatively correlated things that you like here? What kind of props were you looking at here for Monday Night Football?
I'm kind of down on Jalen Hurts. Maybe just because you said he was the MVP a second ago, and I'm mad.
I said the potential was there
right.
for him to be the MVP.
But he's only at 195.5. I'm not going to go under that. That seems like they're respectful of the fact that he's not that good. I liked the Packers was my best bet coming into the pod, so that's the one I like.
Okay. Here's where I will go with a negative correlation here. The Eagles want to run the ball. They want to run the ball. The Packers have actually been good against the run, but we know the Packers have a very good pass rush as well with Micah Parsons now. I think that Saquon Barkley is finally hitting his stride, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Saquon actually have a big game here against the Green Bay Packers. I still think the Packers win, but it's a good negative correlation if we're betting on the Packers to win to bet on Saquon to have a big game. So if we go over 76.5 rushing yards for Saquon Barkley, or maybe we can go rushing and receiving yards for Saquon, like over 94.5 rushing and receiving yards, we're going to jack this thing up close to plus 600.
I'm curious what both are, because the receiving yards is less negative correlated because it's more likely to happen in a game they're down by 20 that they throw. But I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm just curious if we get a huge payout for over 76.5, I'd be curious how that looks.
Okay, so
rushing yards.
So if we do rushing and receiving over 94.5, from plus 219, it goes to plus 589.
All right.
If we do
Give me 701.
If we do over 76.5 rushing yards, it goes from plus 219 to plus 639.
All right. It's getting close to 701. I kind of like that rushing yards one.
Me too.
He,
I like the 639 plus 639.
he had 150 last week.
Yeah.
He broke through. I feel like they're going to keep feeding him. They have to have him back to where he was last year at some point.
So I do think they're hitting their stride here. I do think, well, at least I think he is hitting his stride here, and I do think they want to run the ball. I think seeing what the Chargers did last night against the Steelers to try to mitigate that pass rush and say, hey, we're just going to hand the ball off to Vidal a bunch, and this way, like TJ Watt, we're taking you out of the game. I think they might want to take Myles Garrett out of the game and just say, hey, we're just going to hand the ball off a bunch.
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons, excuse me. They're all in the same class. Come on. And take him out of the game and say, hey, we're just going to hand the ball off a bunch here. So, all right, 3-leg, same game parlay. Packers minus 1.5. Christian Watson over 40.5 receiving yards. Saquon Barkley over 76.5 rushing yards plus 639. Let's get one more leg in here, Mac, and I'd like it to be an under. So, who are we fading in this game?
Do we fade Jalen Hurts rushing yards if they're more committed?
I got it.
What do you got?
We're fading Josh Jacobs rushing yards.
I was thinking about that. I didn't want to be the first to say it.
No, because
that's anti-correlated.
We
go the losing running back under.
The losing,
over.
Yes.
The winning running back under.
Yes.
They'll never see it coming.
Josh Jacobs under 69.5 because we think it's going to be a big Jordan Love game. They're going to attack the passing game of the secondary and the pass
with
defense.
With the secondary injuries, and they've just been bad against the pass.
Yes.
On the season, that's the way you beat the Eagles, through the secondary.
Okay, so under 69.5 rushing yards for Josh Jacobs makes this 4-leg parlay from the plus 639 on the 3-leg, plus 1428 on the 4-leg.
Let's go.
Oh, baby. All right, so here's your base same-game parlay options. The first 2 legs on your base, Green Bay Packers minus 1.5, Christian Watson over 40.5 receiving yards. If you want to do just Josh Jacobs under 69.5, plus 585. If you want to do just Saquon over 76.5, plus 639. You want to throw them all 4 together, plus 1428. Packers minus 1.5. Christian Watson over 40.5 receiving yards. Saquon Barkley over 76.5 rushing yards. And Josh Jacobs under 69.5 rushing yards. Your same game parlay for Monday Night Football, courtesy of our friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Before we wrap things up, Mackenzie, let's talk a little NBA, NHL, get you set for what is going to be a busy week here up on BettorDay.com. It's a new day, Mackenzie Rivers. It's a better day, Mackenzie Rivers, because up on BettorDay.com, we have unveiled the first of the rollout of the new features that we have been teasing for a while now for you BettorDay.com subscribers. And I think, Mackenzie, this stuff is a game changer. So, live right now up on BettorDay.com for all of you subscribers, currently for free. There will be an announcement on that coming in the next couple of weeks, but for right now, everything is free for you guys on the website. Click on the NBA page. You will find our NBA first quarter and first half database, courtesy of our friend Kevin Rogers, who has been tremendous working with us here on this project. Kevin will be featured on the podcast coming up this week. I'll have him on probably on Wednesday morning. We'll talk about some of the features here in these databases. Fully interactive, meaning you can click on a specific stat if you want to know, hey, how do teams do? Who has a good ATS record in the first quarter? Who goes over in the first quarter? Hey, who's covering the spread in the first half? Hey, who goes under in the first half? Everything is sortable. And you can click on each individual team and see their entire game logs with literally all the information you need about the first quarter and the first halves. For example, I click on, let's say, the Los Angeles Lakers, and I will get a drop-down menu of every game the Lakers played this year with the first quarter score, the first quarter line, the total going over or under, the offensive rating in the first quarter, the defensive rating in the first quarter. Same thing for the first half, the score, the line, the total, the offensive rating, the defensive rating, and the full game total stuff too. Offensive rating, defensive rating, whether they were on no rest, whether their opponent was on no rest. Every team game-by-game breakdown, every stat completely sortable, interactive, and the best thing that I love about this, Mackenzie, It is completely optimized for mobile. So you can view it on your cell phone, just scroll left or right, and you can see everything. All the data is updated every single day. Where else can you find data like this, Mac?
You absolutely cannot. And I know because first quarter bets is something of a particular passion of mine. And I'm always looking at databases and just dividing by 4 and thinking, I hope that was the line. But I know if you're a 6-point favorite, sometimes you're a 2-point first quarter favorite, sometimes you're 1.5, sometimes you're 1, sometimes you're 2.5. It kind of has a little bit of movement. So to actually have the data, so I can say for definitively this team's 5-1 in the first quarter, that is a game changer for me. That is something I've always been kind of guessing at, that I would love to have the actual numbers in front of me.
And now everyone that joins BettorDay.com will have access to this fully interactive NBA first quarter and first half database. Also, if you click on the NHL tab up on BettorDay.com, a database of first period play in the NHL this season. That's right. Same thing. Every team, click on their name. You get all of their game logs, the first period score, what the line was, what the final score in the game was, who the starting goaltender was in that game, the first period over under, how many shots on goal were there in the first period? How were they on the penalty or the power play or the penalty kill? Whether they were on rest, their opponent on no rest, what time each goal was scored. So if you want to bet your goal in first 10 lines, you can also look at both teams to score, yes or no, split by home or away. I mean, this is the most comprehensive database for NHL first period plays, just like the NBA first quarter and first half. You literally cannot find this information. You might be able to find this, you might be able to find this information all over the internet. You will never find it in a more accessible, sortable, and interactive way than we have up on BettorDay.com. This is, to me, it's going to make your handicapping and figuring out your bets so much easier, and that's our goal for you guys.
I didn't know if you meant that it was a day that was better than the day prior, or if it was a day that was specifically designed for bettors when you said it was a better day, because it seems to me that it's both.
It is absolutely both. Wasn't a good day for my best bet in the NHL yesterday. I did give out up on BettorDay.com our system play on the Toronto Maple Leafs, which it was fading the Carolina Hurricanes on the second of a back-to-back. 1-10 in the last 11 games teams were on the second night of a back-to-back playing in Toronto. When the Maple Leafs had a 4-2 lead in the second period, Mackenzie, I didn't even check the score again. I'll be honest with you. I was watching
11-1 now.
Yeah, I was so focused in on Sunday Night Football. That's it. Not worried about it. 4-2. That's it. All right. Hey, you know what? They gave up a goal though. All right, it's 4-3 going into the third period. All right, we'll check back in a couple minutes. Then it's 4-4. What? And then it was 5-4. Yep, 3 unanswered goals allowed after taking a 4-2 lead. So the Maple Leafs did lose, but they were dogs anyway. It was plus 110, so it's not like we bet a heavy favorite here. We took a plus 110 dog on a great system play, and we blew a 4-2 lead. It happens. It's going to happen again. So that was a tough one. And, yeah, just a bummer. Thought the system was the right side there in that game. Tonight in the NHL, the New York Rangers will try and win their first game on home ice. 0-6-1 at Madison Square Garden this season. They are minus 170 favorites tonight.
Something's got to give.
The Florida Panthers. I mean, not the Florida Panthers, the Nashville Predators. Like, minus 170 favorites. They're 0-6-1 at home. Like, is this tonight?
Is Subban coming out of that door for the Panthers, man, or Predators? How bad are the freaking Nashville Predators these days?
It's unbelievable. And the Rangers in the 7 games at home, they've been shut out in, let's see, one. Oh, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. They've been shut out in 5 of these games. Is that true? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. They've been shut out in 4. No, 5. They've been shut out in 5. Oh my goodness. 0-6-1 at home. They've been shut out in 5 of them. This is an embarrassment. This is an embarrassment. What's not an embarrassment are our Golden Knights, who take on the Florida Panthers tonight here at the Fortress. Vegas, a minus 145 favorite. You know, the Eiffel Tower, we may have stopped it after that bad beat because we're not going to lay the over 3.5. You know what Jack Eichel said last game about your 3.5 shots on goal prop line?
What did he say?
He said, I wish it was 2.5 because he had 3 shots to go on goal once again. So the dude has still gone over. If you were somebody that just said, I don't care about the juice, and all I'm going to do is play over 2.5 shots on goal for Jack Eichel, because that's what the line was for the first 12 games of the season, right? And then the sports books were like, we can't let you guys do this anymore. Come on. This is not fair. Scott Seidenberg keeps talking about this. We're going to have to jack up the price here. Well, 14 games played here for the Vegas Golden Knights. Jack Eichel has had 3 or more shots on goal in 13 of them. Only one game he had fewer than 3 shots on goal. So if you were someone that just says, I don't care about the juice, I'm going to lay it here and go over 2.5 shots on goal with Eichel, minus 200, who cares? You're cashing.
13-1. You can lay 200 if you're 13-1.
I guess
you do that.
I guess you're right. I'm not going to ask you to do the math here, but I think I think that's beyond the break-even point.
Yes,
going
that's
13-1.
Positive ROI right there.
Yesterday in the NBA, the Knicks, a 134-98 blowout win over the Brooklyn Nets. That was one of the largest victories for the Knicks over the Nets in the last couple of years. So impressive results there. And the Thunder improved to 10-1 on the season, a 114-100 win over the Memphis Grizzlies. So they lost that game against the Blazers. They've bounced back now for 2 straight wins, 132 points and 114 points in the back-to-back games, Mackenzie.
They're a machine. I mean, last year in the playoffs, when Ja Morant went out, the Grizzlies were up by 27. Thunder ended up winning by 8. Well, this time Ja Morant remained. He said he would have beaten the Thunder if he would have gotten the chance. Well, he got the chance. And they had a 10-point lead at half. They had a 5-point lead in the fourth quarter. And the Thunder not only erased a 15-point lead and won, they covered a 10.5-point spread. This team does not stop coming at you. Shea with a huge fourth quarter to get the cover.
And tonight in the NBA, Mackenzie Rivers has a play up on BettorDay.com. That's right, the newly sourced picks page, which tracks the performance of each individual handicapper, analyst, or source of the bets, so you can tell the most profitable people and find out exactly where all the picks are coming from. And we do have some more exciting names that we're going to be adding to that picks page. So very thankful to have the people that we already have on board, and excited about the other people that we have coming in. But Mackenzie Rivers does have an NBA play up there for tonight. And you know something, Mackenzie? Because we love our listeners, and we're going to credit them for listening for this long through the podcast and not just leaving after the Monday Night Football same-game parlay, let's go ahead and give them that pick. Who do you like tonight in the NBA?
You want to tune in to Peacock at 7 o'clock Eastern.
You ever see the Saturday Night Live skit where it's like basketball?
It's exactly the energy that song gives. They unleashed it. But okay, maybe not the most exciting thing in NBC sports history, but the Pistons are hosting the Wizards, and the Pistons are an 11.5-point favorite. My power rankings make it 15.5. But I think this is a particular matchup where most teams see the Wizards, they kind of yawn and they say, okay, let's try to get the win and not make it too hard. The Pistons thrive for this type of franchise versus franchise superiority because it's so rare for them. I feel like the 10 guys in their lineup will not take any time off. And the Wizards, 1-9 straight up in ATS. The market hasn't moved. The market hasn't adjusted. No one's paying attention to basketball. This team is 3 points worse than what we thought coming in. The market's made no adjustment. We're taking advantage almost every game.
All right, let's get after it here with the Detroit Pistons as the 11.5-point favorite, currently up on FanDuel over the Washington Wizards. All right, that'll wrap up this episode here of the podcast. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. As a reminder, please go to the website where we just unveiled the new features here today, and more features are coming. It is free for now. We will have an announcement on that coming up soon, but enjoy everything that we offer: the Trench Report, the NHL database, the NBA database, and some more exciting features coming soon. We want to try to give you guys the most information possible to help you make smarter bets. So please join us at BettorDay.com. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.